this. Okay. So now we are coming to scene 3. And it can be a little bit difficult to keep track with so many characters in a scene. Just remembering those relationships. Adrian and Francisco, truth be told, they don't really matter. Because really you really have the two contestants you have. Alonso and Gonzalo, you have Sebastian and Antonio. And those are really the key ones. Yeah, there's some lines from Adrian and Francisco, but they're just not particularly important as you start to look at from here.
I can go no further, sir. My old bones ache. Here's a maze trod indeed through forthrights and meanders. By your patience, I needs must rest me. Oh, Lord, I cannot blame thee, who am myself attached with weariness to the dulling of my spirit. Sit down and rest. Oh. Even here will I put off my hope, and keep it no longer for my flatterer. He is drowned whom thus we stray to find, and the sea mocks our frustrate search on land. Well, let him go.
I am right glad that he's so out of hope. Do not for one repulse forego the purpose that you resolve to effect. The next advantage we will take truly.
All right, so remember that asides are meant to be so that, they're basically having a little snide conspiracy conversation together. Gonzalo and Alonso cannot hear what they're saying. And it was fairly straightforward in this in terms of the fact that, Gonzalo is super tired. Alonso is also admitting to that, but more importantly, he has come to admit the fact that his son is dead. And Antonio and Sebastian are very much so looking at this, this is a good opportunity, and have now going to set up when they're going to do it.
It be tonight, for now they are oppressed with travail. They will not nor cannot use such vigilance as when they're fresh. I say tonight, no more.
Harmony is this? My good.
All right. So they've made up a plan. Tonight is murder night. No hesitation, no restriction. Just, Sebastian is just going to murder his brother. And Antonio is going to kill Gonzalo. So they've got some music playing out of nowhere.
Friends, hark! Sweet music. Give us, kind keepers, heavens. What are these? A living troll. Now I will believe that there are unicorns. That in Arabia there is one tree, the phoenix throne. One phoenix at this hour reigning.
I'll believe both. And what does else want credit? Come to me and I'll be sworn 'tis true. Travellers ne'er did lie, though fools at home condemn 'em.
If in Naples I should report this now, would they believe me? If I should say I saw such islanders, for certes, these are people of the island, who, though they are of monstrous shape, yet note their manners are more gentle, kind, than of our human generation you shall find many, nay, almost any.
Honest, Lord, thou hast said well. Some of you there present are worse than devils.
I cannot too much muse. Such shape, such gesture, and such sound expressing, although they want the use of tongue, a kind of excellent dumb discourse. Praise.
So you have this kind of collection of shapes. They call it shapes, but these spirits, and probably in class we'll be actually just watching it rather than me having explained it, but for those of you not there, you can go back and watch. So they have kind of swooped in, and they're all so unusual and strange that they're very much so up here. They're just saying, wow, I'm going to believe in anything now because I've seen something that's so fantastical and so strange in back and forth from here. Okay. And so now we're going to look into then what are all these spirits? Prospero is still hidden, and any comments that he's making so far, they cannot hear. And they're creating all these strange things that they're doing. And for this, and what I want you to think about is, why does Prospero do what he does? Like, what's his purpose in this? How is it that he is doing this? What's the motivation for doing this? The actions that you're about to see from here.
They vanished, strangely.
No matter, since they have left their viands behind, for we have stomachs. Will please you taste of what is here?
Not I. Faith, sir, you need not fear. When we were boys, who would believe that there were mountaineers, dew-like bulls whose throats had hanging at them wallets of flesh, or that there were such men whose heads stood in their breasts, which now we find each putter out of 5 for 1 will bring us good warrant of. I will stand to and feed, although my last. No matter, since I feel the best is past. Brother, my lord the Duke, stand to and do as we.
You are 3 men of sin, whom destiny, that hath to instrument this lower world and what is in't, the never suffered sea hath caused to belch up you. And on this island where man doth not inhabit, you amongst men being most unfit to live, I have made you mad. And even with such like valor, men hang and drown their proper selves.
All right, so you got a couple of things coming in here from this. You have this glorious buffet has miraculously appeared before them. And they've been wandering around for hours and hours. They're starving. They haven't had any food. An awesome display of food is here. And Sebastian is first of all, let's go eat. And at first Alonso is not so keen on it. Gonzalo convinces him to eat. He's like, okay, all right, I'll do it. I'll eat. And Ariel, like a harpy, and so very much for him is he's kind of swooping in and goes over to that banquet and makes it vanish. So you very much so in terms of this is like you're putting food in front of starving men and then going snap. It's like you don't get to eat it. Is that kind of forced torture along of that far from here. And Ariel explains it in this is essentially that your sins have landed on you on this island. And of course, you got Alonso and Sebastian. They draw their swords. And Ariel is then going to explain his reasoning for why they're being punished. And it's really just a recap in terms of this.
You fools! I and my fellows are ministers of fate. The elements, of whom your swords are tempered, may as well wound the loud winds, or with Bermoctad stabs kill the still closing waters as diminish one dowl that's in my plume. My fellow ministers are like invulnerable. If you could hurt, your swords are now too massy for your strengths, and will not be uplifted.
But remember, for that's my business to you, that you free from Milan did supplant good Prospero, exposed unto the sea, which hath requited him and his innocent child, for which foul deed the powers, delaying, not forgetting, have incensed the seas and shores, yea, all the creatures against your peace.
Thee, of thy son, Alonso, they have bereft,
and do pronounce by me lingering perdition, worse than any death can be at once, shall step by step attend you and your ways, whose wrath to guard you from, which here, in this most desolate isle, else falls upon your heads, is nothing but hard sorrow and a clear life ensuing.
All right. Disappears once again to soft music, and we got the shapes. They dance around, which basically just going na 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 na.
Brave to the figure of this harpy hast thou performed, my Ariel, a grace it had devouring. Of my instruction hast thou nothing bated in what thou hadst to say. So with good life and observation strange, my meaner ministers their several kinds have done. I hide charms work, and these mine enemies are all lit up in their distractions. They now are in my power, and in these fits I leave them, while I visit young Ferdinand, whom they suppose is drowned, and his and mine loved darling.
All right, so just a sort of last thought in this. What is Prospero's endgame? He's got all this spirit and all this magic. If he wanted to, he could have killed them right from the start. He could have killed everybody on that ship. He could have saved Gonzalo, but wiped everybody else out. So part of what you need to think about is, why is he doing what he's doing? What is his end game? And that's the exit from them. Okay. And these couple of choppy scenes show up just a little bit, because now we have jumped back over to Gonzalo and Alonso.
Name of something holy, sir. Why stand you in this strange stare?
Oh, it is monstrous, monstrous. Methought the billows spoke and told me of it. The winds did sing it to me, and the thunder, that deep and dreadful organ pipe, pronounced the name of Prosper. It did base my trespass. Wherefore, my son, in the ooze is bedded, and I'll seek him deeper than air plummet sounded, and with him there lie mudded.
All right, so I want you to think about this response, because I'm not going to give you the answer to this one. Because as we go through this process, you know, you're getting a lot of help in the very beginning, but you're going to get less and less as we go through this here. And you need to kind of think about it ahead of time. And you can use your resource and all the other ones, things along those lines, but you should be able to kind of take a look at these words and what you know about what's happening so far to be able to answer the question of, you know, what's wrong? What's wrong? And this is what Alonso's response is. And so now we have jumped over again to Prospero because they're all reacting differently to the circumstance of having the food right in front of them and then having it snatched away, you know, and so Gonzalo reacts a very in his way in terms of, you know, Alonso, and then Sebastian and Antonio will all act in different ways from that.
One fiend at a time. I'll fight their legions all. I'll be thy second.
All three of them are desperate. Their great guilt, like poison given to work a great time after, now begins to bite the spirits.
I do beseech you, that are of suppler joints, follow them swiftly, and hinder them from what this ecstasy may now provoke them to. Follow, I pray you.
Okay, so Adrian finally got a line. Yeah, if you're going to read this one aloud in class, that would be the character you probably want to go for. So that is the end of Act 3.